Do, 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 do.
Oh, hello. It is a Wednesday. Middle of the week. You got through half of it. There's a little bit more left. You can soldier through. We're just here to be like, hey man, some stuff has happened so far. Maybe some stuff is going to happen in the future, and we might tell you about it if you are unfortunate. Or fortunate, depends on how you look at it. How's it going, everybody? Playing around getting stuff set up. I gotta sling out gotta do that social media thing. I gotta put it on the TikToks. What are the kids using now? I assume, like, because too many adults are using TikTok. There's gotta be, like, the new thing, right? Is there the new thing yet?
Well, no, a lot of kids are still on TikTok, but Threads, I guess, would be... I've noticed, a big surgence at Threads.
Well, Threads lost like 80% of its...
Yeah, it did. But in the Linux world, it's actually grown dramatically because I, post LWDW on there as well, and I'm getting more hits from it.
Hits?
Oh, thank you, Jordan, for fixing.
Did Jordan fix a thing? Thank you, Jordan.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let me see. I need links. What do we need? Our bridge is working again.
Yes.
Cool beans. All right. Live. 4 daily. Man, that's an interesting way you just tried to spell weekly brain.
Did you put too many E's?
W-E-K-E-L-Y.
Oh boy. Okay. Weekly.
Kelly.
I've put extra E's in it before. Weekly.
Let's see. We will send that out, and let's do one of those. All right, look at that. I have social media all over the place, and I clean my mouse balls. You got to be careful when you do that. Boom. Hey, everybody. How's everybody going?
Hi, everyone.
So, like when you clean this, you lose resolution because you need a certain amount of human goo on your mouse ball, on a trackball, to ensure smooth operation. So as soon as you clean it, you get all of your oily, gross, human oils off the ball. You lose it's harder to move it in like really fine spots.
Does the ball sometimes get stuck because it's caked on?
No, it works better when it's dirty, Joe.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Less friction.
Yeah, less friction. Yeah.
It's got because the ball's sitting on 3 synthetic rubies. And when you remove all that, like if you hit it with Windex and you wipe it off, it's like, and you got to use it for a little bit before it gets nice and smoothed out. Maybe we'll get like something. This is what we need. We need the reverse of a like laser. When did we start getting like the laser mouses? It was early 2000s when you could just go buy one, right?
Yeah.
Like they weren't like crazy expensive. They weren't like exotic by that point. Like Logitech had them because I think Logitech was the first one. I was like, I'm ordering a mouse. I'm like, oh, they're all laser now. All right, fine.
I think late 90s. Yeah, 98, 99 is when I remember having one. And it was the new hotness.
Anything was better than having to clean that.
Yeah.
Mechanical sitting there with a paper clip or whatever, like grinding off those little rollers to get everything nice and smooth. I want something like that for like a trackball, but like I just want to be able to like wave my finger, like maybe I don't even know if I want a touchpad. Yeah, I guess you want a touchpad because you don't want to like be just waving your fingers around.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
I mean, maybe you do. 2001. Yeah, it's like
that's cool, Earth Aaron.
Right in that area. And I'm sure they existed, but I was just talking about like when you went to the store. I'm like, hey, look, all right, they're all optical now. So I still remember. Here's your deep cut. For you chitlins out there. First scroll wheel. That's something you absolutely take for granted. A scroll wheel on a mouse.
Yeah.
Like that is like, yeah, that wasn't always there. And the thing is, we had web pages and websites for quite a while before the scroll wheel showed up.
Took over, yeah.
Like, oh, man.
Yeah, that was a thing.
And not X11, but an X386, you had to do it might have been that Logitech. I think that Logitech mouse, because I had it was like a blue, had an LED on the back because, man, that was the future, right?
Yeah.
And it had a scroll wheel on it, and I had to...
You remember, Ben, the extensions you can install on your browser so that you can make the middle mouse button scroll the web page? By just clicking on it. That was a thing.
They had a bunch of little workarounds.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't auto-detected. Like this was like a breaking technology. You plugged it in, didn't work. You had to edit your x386.conf, and you had to do a modifier for page up, page down. And I got that working. It was like, that was something you brought people in the room. You're like, hey, come here, check this out. Well, they're like, oh, I'm like, yeah, I know, right? It was a crazy time.
Well, the middle button was popular with Unix systems. So if you were using high-end systems, you had access to them and were using them before the general public kind of was.
Like 3-button mouses have existed, like even back in I had a DOS PC with 3-button mouse. But with like Linux, especially with 386, you could just, I don't remember, it wasn't X keys back then, but you could make it work with any, like you could set up a mouse modifier combo where you could hold down, if you didn't even have a middle button, you could set it to where if you had like both buttons pressed at one time. Yeah. You could do a drag function on it.
I've been using it for cut and paste for years. So
yeah, the middle click is, you know what? That's something I didn't discover until like maybe 7 years ago on accident.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just never paid any attention to it. And I'm like, oh, that's been there the whole time. Because I'm just Control-Alt-C, Control-Alt-V. That's just...
Yeah.
I never think about it. And I just happened to do it when I'm like, how long is it? Oh, that's always been there. Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah. And there's two, on different desktops. There's like on KDE and GNOME. Mm-hmm. There's two different clipboards. One for the middle. Yeah. Click and then one for
frustrating. Yeah, that's on XFCE too. You go to middle click and you're like, fine. Then you do the paste and I got that muscle memory to paste without formatting. We're going to be talking about formatting, especially with URLs in just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, Steve husband, you're here, and look, we're on Jitsi. And I'm a little sharper now. It's nice. Ben's done some improvements. He's going to talk about at the top of the show.
Yeah.
I guess I better go take a break so that we can get going.
You got 4 minutes, plenty of time.
Okay. Oh, boy.
I'm trying to think. There had to have been and this is not like some weird anti-Windows flex. The last time I was on the desktop Windows, it was 311. I'm trying to remember, did Windows 311 have a copy-paste function? I want to say it did, but I'm not sure. Maybe it did. You know what? Let's go find out. Have a clipboard. Yeah. The magic Google ball is not clipboard history. Okay, maybe. Nope, that's a useless article. Windows 311 clipboard. Yeah, I know about X11. Did we dare go to the images? Wait, is that? Yeah, it did. Look, there it is. Clipboard viewer. Okay. I would not have put money on that. It seems like it would have, right? Like we had come far enough at that point to have a clipboard. What do we have? Let's take a look at that again. File manager, control panel, print manager, clipboard, paintbrush. You know, paintbrush, MS Paint's getting support for layers. Terminal, Windows setup. What was the PIF editor? Who knows that without Googling? Because I don't. Read me, the DOS prompt, and of course, Notepad. Right. I get what you're saying right there. What, like, see, that's where it gets a little sticky, though. Like, the application might have copy and paste, but did it have it system-wide, right? Because you could do copy and paste and, like, oh, geez, what was it? Word? Was it Word? Word Perfect? That DOS application? I'm really curious what the PIF editor is now. I have questions. What is a PIF file? WinBatch, program information file. Defines how a given DOS program should be run in a multitasking environment. Look at that. Bet you didn't expect to learn something today, did we? All right. That's what a PIF file was. Windows 311. Oh, man. I mean, 311 worked. I guess 95 kind of worked, too. I was, got a 95 upgrade disk. I don't know. I don't know if I was exactly excited to get the 95. It was a free 95 upgrade. You had to have been there during the time. The amount of hype surrounding Windows 95, kind of unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, you had the Rolling Stones doing Start Me Up.
That's right.
Commercial. I mean, the commercials with it were like the media hype, where it's like, this is the next revolution in computing.
Even William Shatner was promoting it.
Everybody got in on it. And Microsoft spent a lot of money. And like people were like, there were lines to get copies of it. Like,
yeah.
You know, it's like game release, right? Mm-hmm. And I play around with it because we got the free upgrade disc, and I did an upgrade from 311 to that. And you could still drop into DOS. But by that time, the silly Linux thing had rolled around.
Yeah.
And, you know, Windows has just gone too mainstream, man. I wonder what's going to come after Linux. You ever think about that?
Well, maybe it'll be closer to Minix, a much smaller version. I don't know, a more efficient, smaller.
It's going to be something... I mean, it'll probably be based on Linux or Linux variant, but I imagine, you know, but let's think about it because, you know, being the silly little monkeys we are, we like to think like 10, 15 years, but like, let's think 50 years, 60 years from now, it's obviously going to be something mobile. Like,
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
90s.
No. 91, Ralph.
It works across applications. All right. Arthur's pulling up Windows 3.
Oh, okay. Test.
Right? You know what? Listen, that's a fancy way of typing ASDFGF, ASD, GGFF. So I commend you for typing in an actual word. Yeah, in the 80s, I was running DOS. I remember getting excited about DOS 6.
Oh, yeah, that was a thing. I ran DOS 6.0 for a lot of years because 3D Studio for DOS really loved it. And it was just a workhorse and it worked good.
But I have no nostalgia for DOS. What I see, because I watch, what's his name, Clint? LGR?
Yeah,
But
I know.
He's played around with DOS. It's like, I was there, man. Like, I don't want to go back to any of that. But, you know, what I like is, I like that somebody wants to sit and try to figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's that fascination with it. Like, that I can get behind. Personally, like the idea of having a retro game, like, no, man. Like, I like where games have gone. I like where PC, I like where technology is. I'm good. Making boot disk? You know, I was thinking about that earlier. It might have been last week I was thinking about that. Because if you're a certain age, you know 100% you know about making DOS boot disk. Because for most of us, that was the only way to get a game up and running. To have enough available memory.
Yeah.
You know,
high mem, low mem. Oh
editing
my God.
your autoexec.bat and your config.sys.
Loading those mouse drivers and CD-ROM drivers and all the things.
Right. What I was trying to think about.
Slackware, 1991.
Because even though we had some BBSs, what I was trying to think for me personally, I'm like, where did I even learn how to do that? Like that was all sneakernet information. I learned that from somebody. I'm like, man, I can't get this game to work. And someone's like, this is what you need to do. And I took notes, and there was nothing to really go to find out. Might have read it in a magazine, but that doesn't seem likely at the time. Might have, you know what? I bet it was probably in a game manual too, right?
Oh, yeah, that makes sense, because you actually got game manuals.
Right. And I was like, if you need to run this, you might have to create well, probably it wasn't even might. It was almost guaranteed you were going to have to make a boot disk. All right. Everybody, I think it looks like everything's going to stay in one piece. Everything working good on your end, Joe?
Yeah. We're all right. Beautiful.
Good.
Yay. Oh, yeah. FreeDOS Gemma. Yeah. XMMS. I still use XMMS. Love it. Aw. Awesome Steve husband. He's got a Showtime ready. He's been becoming a Discord leet hacksaw.
All right. Looking all right. So let's get down to our record button. Try to get her back to pop. No, not happening. All right, fine.
Oh.
The one thing I missed, this chair doesn't have arms, which I really like.
Yeah, same here. That's what I did when I got this new chair, and I decided not to put the arms on it so I had more space here. But I kind of miss them because it makes it easier to roll the chair around, but it's
for
in the
me,
way.
that's my back, so I can grab the arms.
Oh, I'll grab it, yeah.
And do the little turn. And this one just doesn't have arms at all, period. Like, all right. Yeah, I think we're good, everybody. Let's give this a shot.
Okay.
Let's hit the record button.
Hello, Biatko. Welcome.
Okay. Keep your fingers crossed for some fire and entertainment because it is very likely. Let's get there. Mm-hmm. Hey everyone, welcome back to Linux Weekly, daily Wednesdays where we sit back, relax, take that midweek break, talk about some of the fun things going on in the world of Linux and open source. I'm Vince Stone, joined every week by Jill Bryant. Middle of the week, Jill. We're here. Everything's going to be nice and smooth. It's not going to be like last week when we're like, coming live from Discord.
Oh boy. That was nightmare fuel.
Oh, that was fun. Discord has I went and like looked it up and it's like a noise detection thing. So if it gets a high spike, so anytime like you laughed like directly into the mic, it just mutes you. So there were like a couple of spots where you laughed and you said something, but it was quick enough to pick back up. So if it sounded a little bit weird last week, that's what it was. But we're back on Jitsi, everybody.
Yay! In a very special way too. Vent's going to tell you about.
I got well, you go ahead and tell them what you've been up to this morning. I sit back and look at some of these numbers.
Okay, sounds good. So this morning I watched the Diversity Summit, which was streamed on YouTube from the Linux Foundation's Open Source Summit Europe in Spain. Woohoo! I love when these conventions come around. And I plan to watch the keynote speech tomorrow and other great talks. Tomorrow, Fatima from GitLab is speaking, and she's one of my favorite speakers. So I have to tune in and get up early to watch that. But it started today, Wednesday, and it goes on through Friday. So there's still plenty of time to watch a lot of great talks on every subject you can think of on Linux and open source. So go check it out. It's always a lot of fun. And back in the Open Source Summit here in the US in Los Angeles in 2017, I got to meet and talk with Linus Torvalds. And I had shared that here on LWDW. And that was so much fun.
Right on. And
that was such a joy.
Events.linuxfoundation.org, right?
Yeah, correct.
Cool. And go check that out. Yeah. So Jitsi did an update last week, right? And
yeah.
Okay. Maybe, every time I do an update to the Jitsi server, it's always like, let's see what I got to go back and play with. Mm-hmm. Everything looked fine until we went to use it last Wednesday, and I got a message from Jill, and I was like, oh, what's going on? Maybe we'll try a different browser. Yeah. And after the show, I thought I'd fixed it, and it was an intermittent issue. Then, of course, you go to the GitHub and you check issue tracker, and there's like 20 people have already posted an issue. I'm like, I found my issue, and we're still waiting for it to get fixed. It's an issue with, here's the beautiful thing about it. It's an issue with Edge and Chrome. So when you log in, you try to graze out the audio and video. And, we kind of need that for Jitsi.
Yeah, just slightly. Yeah. It was like a little circular icon that kept spinning.
Like, I guess we could have brought up, like, Jitsi, the chat, and typed to each other, but that would have been about it.
Yeah.
And I hear what you're saying. What about Firefox? Ben, you're right. Turns out it works with Firefox. Good on you, Mozilla. So Saturday, we got this sorted. We don't have to worry about it. We're just using Firefox. It was adorable. Firefox. We spent an entire hour trying to get it. We got it to log in. It was working good. Well, good. It was working. It was functioning. And but the video Jordan's video was like pixelated. Then we reset some things, and the video just disappeared, and we couldn't get video back. And I'm reading Sunday afternoon when I pushed. There's a bug in the latest version of Firefox with Jitsi. So we were doomed. Like that entire hour we spent in the pre super shows, and we couldn't have won the battle. There was nothing we could have done to had a working solution. So I found the correct version of Jitsi. I've rolled it back, and typically we run our Jitsi server on a Linode instance because I got a couple of those set up, Trackmania server and stuff like that. I just spool it out. I'm like,
yeah.
I was thinking about that. Let's see if Raspberry Pis are, because, you can kind of get them now, right?
Yeah.
They're not
reasonably priced.
Ish.
Yeah.
Ish. I was taking some looks last night on the Amazon, because I went to Adafruit first, and like all out of stock. I'm like, let's see what the scalper price is. Pretty reasonable. You can get a 4 gig for like $60, and I think 8 gigs like $79, which considering they were 75, like we're getting back to where they should be. And another thing I was kind of disappointed about. When did the Raspberry Pi 4 come out?
Oh gosh. Okay, so my Raspberry Pi 400 came out during the pandemic. It was like at that end of that year. So I'd have to say 2019? Is that right? Or
June 2019.
Okay.
You got it. For those of you watching the video, there it is. There's our wiki image, that little critter. Now, here's something that I was a little disappointed with, because I was doing a bit of a deep dive. I'm like, price performance. That's still the best price performance option out there right now as a Raspberry Pi 4. Even though we have these 16 gig SoCs, from Orange Pi and with the new Rock chips. And moral of the story, everybody. That's our Raspberry Pi sitting back here in the rack right now, running our Jitsi server from home.
Yay, isn't that cool?
Made it happen. This is a project I started on before the pandemic, like maybe, I don't know. When were the dark times? There it is. I'll unbig it for everybody. So it's just Jill running. We're using about 1 gigabyte of RAM and about 40% on the CPU. Not too bad. Not too bad. And, but before the shortages and everything, I was like, this might be an interesting project. And I never could get it to work. So I went back and revisited it, and nobody had really taken a crack at it since, there'd been some updates to Jitsi that broke the initial, somebody kind of got it to work. And there's some other issues. Well, like when you're sitting behind a NAT, right? Because what do you need to get your own Jitsi server? You got to have fully qualified domain name. You got to go get a domain name. You get them for free if you want. Okay. That's really your only expense. You got to have a Raspberry Pi. Or maybe something cheaper. I'm thinking maybe we could try to do this with like an Orange Pi 3, which I think I found a kit for like $40 for one of those.
Yeah.
You need that, but you got to make some modifications to Jitsi, because chances are, once you set it up, you probably want to be able to talk to people. Like Jill's on one of the PCs under here. There's 3 boxes under here. And I need my system just to connect with that inside the LAN. But Jill's got to connect over the WAN and with the NAT stuff, so you got to do some extra configurations to the SIP communicator to get it to translate everything. Oh, that was a little bit of a sticking point, but I think we got it working.
Yeah, looks beautiful. It's nice and crisp too, Vin.
Handled all of my audio modifications, so Jill sounds like Jill again.
Yeah.
And I'll probably do a video on that, just because it's relatively simple to do. Like if you are the type of person who likes to host stuff at home, why not host your own? Because I think I could get this to where you could have it set up in like 20 minutes.
Awesome.
Like, it's one of those things, like if you have the instructions in front of you and you don't have to go searching, because we've all been there, right? You spend like 2 days finding, and there's always that one piece of information that you don't even remember how you got to it, how you found it, but you finally found it. You're like, I would have never found this. I'm going to take all that information, stick it together, and have a updated 2020, is it 2023?
Yeah,
2023 guide. I had to check that. Guide for everybody, so you can roll your own Jitsi server. And because you can definitely get higher quality audio and video than you're going to be able to get out of Discord. Case in point. So, and you don't need a ton of bandwidth to do it either. But we're really going to be stress testing that, not today so much, but definitely on a Saturday show. I'm gonna. Yeah. This is the. Is it gonna explode test?
Yes. And there'll be 3 of you on Saturday.
Definitely, and I'm gonna ratchet up some settings even higher. So, Jill, let's get into it with more Wayland talk. Everybody loves it when we talk about Wayland.
Yeah, well, this is something very important. So we have big news coming from Fedora. When Fedora Linux 40 releases next year, which will be sometime in May of 2024, they will release the KDE Plasma 6 desktop in the Fedora Linux KDE spin. Now, this we've known for some time, but with this release, Fedora Linux is proposing to offer the KDE Plasma 6 desktop on Wayland only and drop the X11 session. This is big news. And all X11 applications would still be supported, but will be using X Wayland instead. And yeah, so back in May of this year, we had talked about one of the reasons for X11 being possibly deprecated in the Fedora KDE Plasma 6 release is that the Xorg display server has been deprecated since the release of RHEL 9.0 in May of 2022 and will most likely be removed in future major RHEL releases. Well, I had heard confirmation that RHEL is officially dropping X11 in future releases. So that was confirmed. But this actually makes sense also for Fedora because Fedora is upstream of Red Hat Linux Enterprise. And it so makes sense. And something else that's already happening, actually, on my current release of Fedora Linux KDE Spin, it also defaults to Wayland, but it lets you exit out to the login screen and switch back to X11 when you log back in. So that option is there, but they're planning to take that option out, it looks like. So, starting in May of next year, X11 may be a thing of the past in Fedora and all RHEL products. So that's going to be an interesting future event.
Well, definitely if you're going to be dealing with KDE, but a lot of people but what about no? No.
It's probably coming.
It just might be because there is another proposal right here to evaluate the X11 session offering for GNOME as well. So, I mean, this is good to see. This is good to see. I'm not anti-Wayland by any stretch of the imagination. However, I do like to point out, very pragmatic. Like, I believe, you need to address the actual issues. A couple of weeks ago, we talked to, somebody who was very cheerleady about Wayland and kind of glossing over some of the serious, crippling problems with Wayland. So, to get the ball rolling, I think this is fantastic. There are still issues, and of course, they're NVIDIA issues, as you might guess, on top of everything else. But, one of them is this is an open bug right now, which is the Glamour renders, and that's for X Wayland. So that's a problem. That's got to get fixed before they're going to push it out. And if they do it with GNOME, I want somebody to do it. Fedora is, could we call Fedora bleeding edge in the days of Arch? Not really. It's more like a seeping edge. It's not really like a full, open wound. But I mean, it's still pretty recent.
Yeah. Absolutely. And they were one of the first to have GNOME on Wayland, and it works really well. I've been using GNOME on Wayland on Fedora for a while. It does work. It worked actually really well with my last install, Fedora 38 with the NVIDIA drivers. It actually worked quite well.
Now, I have seen people ask, when is NVIDIA really going to get some momentum on this? It's when RHEL makes the switch, because that's where NVIDIA's focused right there. That's enterprise customers and all that.
Yes.
Now, and that's going to be quite a ways down the road. So don't get too excited just yet for NVIDIA, because it's going to be a while before RHEL's going to be switching over to Wayland, because they're dealing with enterprise customers. And you know what you don't, there's a very, you think I'm curmudgeon when I'm like, it's not broke, don't fix. I ain't got nothing on them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I ain't got nothing on them. They're like, nah, all this stuff works. It's going to continue working. We're not changing this. Why would we upgrade?
Not updating,
So, fun to watch. Good times. I too want everything to just work. That's where I want it to get, where no one even realizes it. I was like, hey, are you running? Like, oh, cool. I'm doing this on Wayland. Neat. But speaking of NVIDIA, a little bit of an update. Jill put this in the XFCE. There was a little bit of an update. They've decided, here's the movement. Not really a story. what was it? They've decided which they're going to be using WL roots over libmutter. That's the latest update for XFCE this week.
Yeah, and no X Wayland, which is kind of a surprise. So.
We'll see. Okay, Nuvo. You know what that is? It's hard to spell. That's what it is.
Whenever you install Ubuntu, back in the day, the Nuvo drivers would just launch.
There was one where I was trying to install CentOS. This was a couple of years back because I just got the NVIDIA 2060. And it was brand new card. I ordered that thing on launch day. That card was like custom made for my particular use case. And I was trying to get CentOS installed, but the Nuvo drivers hadn't been updated to the point where it could install. So I had to like VPN into the box. It was the most convoluted back and forth way to get it up and running. But for the most part, if you run into Nuvo, you've used it like that. You had an NVIDIA card, you install it. You needed just a GUI display to get you up and running, get through that installer. And that's what it's always been good for. But the man behind it, Ben, has resigned from Red Hat. He plans on stepping back from the development. And, that's kind of going to be a little bit of a blow for the open source NVIDIA Linux drivers. However, he has pushed out a pretty chunky patch that's going to lay the groundwork for utilizing the GSP firmware that NVIDIA released. Now, that's eventually going to add support for reclocking, which has been a big issue with NVIDIA cards to give you variable clock rates so it's not running full tilt all the time for the 20, 30, and 40 series GPUs. And it's also going to make future development relatively easy. And he thinks, with the work being done by Calibora and NVK, that it's going to be in good hands. And I think that's true. Yeah. And he does make a point. He's like, man, I still got a 4070 in the system. I'm not going to disappear. I'm still going to be poking my head in, and which is good. And this guy, he's been maintaining this since well before it was in the kernel. Just a true psychopath, that my kind of psychopath, that type of madman. I'm going to reverse engineer the NVIDIA driver. That's so cool. And it's been fun to watch the progress over the years. And like I was saying, I typically only use the Nuvo driver on rare occasions. During an install, I think was kind of it, mainly due to that limited functionality. And even then, when I was running Nuvo on Jackbox for an old Quadro that I had, it was always, because I knew that card was just running 100% all the time. Frequency scaling wasn't there. It was just on.
It's getting hot.
Right.
Yeah.
So
the fans running.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And that GSP firmware, fortunately, you could control the fans manually, but you couldn't do anything about the clocks. But this new GSP firmware is going to be adding that support, which I think is really fantastic. And, that this new patch that he dropped before departing, I think is a excellent parting gift. And it's going to allow development to speed up, get some semblance of parity. Or down the road, we'll have a viable open source NVIDIA driver, much like AMD has compared to their binary driver, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And what was so funny is when Ven put this in our show notes, I was on R Linux, trolling R Linux on Reddit, and saw this announcement right when he posted it in our show notes. So that was perfect timing. And I want to, wish happy travels and adventures to you, Ben Skeggs. You've put in so much work and with Red Hat and with the Nuvo drivers. And, you really have left the Nuvo drivers at a great spot with a bright future and in capable hands. So congratulations to you and enjoy your journeys and have fun with still coming back and testing your GPU.
And I still think I speak for a lot of people in the market, maybe not desperately needing a GPU. Mm-hmm. Intel, release that Battle Mage. We need this Player 3. Because this is the darkest timeline we're in right now, because we sit through 2 or 3 years of just not being able to buy a GPU.
Yeah.
And now that they're back, they're priced like they used to be during the shortage. And
I know.
And then we got NVIDIA, the NVIDIA 4070 is really more like a 4060. It's just bad times, and AMD's budget offerings are not compelling if you already have previous gen, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to keep my 6700. Like, I wouldn't blame you. So, yeah, I desperately want Player 3 to come in and shake things up a little bit, but more open source, more better,
absolutely.
as always. Jill, do you like giving away all of your personal information online?
No. And so I'm so happy there's an awesome update to one of my favorite, extensions for the web browser.
For a long time. And you should be too. I've definitely talked about it on the show before. Privacy Badger. This has been since 2014. Free plugin, download it and use it. That if you cut off the show right there, go ahead and just go do that. Doesn't matter if you're in Firefox, Edge, Chrome, whatever. And so what does it do? I mean, this thing stops advertisers, other third-party trackers from tracking you anywhere you go, any of the pages that you look at. Now, this latest update, the reason I want to talk about it is they're changing the way it fights link tracking, specifically from Google, the Googs, things like Google Docs, the Gmail, Google Maps, image results, all that. This updated plugin replaces the tracking URLs that's using the content script, and the beacon requests are now being blocked on the network layer. Now, they do kind of point out, because we know Manifest v3, which is a new thing coming to Google Chrome, it's not going to allow them to do the redirect request anymore. Yet they kind of say, they're like, they kind of have hope that maybe we can get some changes made to it. I don't think Google wants that for obvious reasons, because they would love to be able to track you because it's Google. Yes. Just go download and install this. Like, this was, worth putting in the show just so I'd have an excuse to talk about it, because the EFF is doing the good job. It's fighting the good fight, and having a tool like that. What do you have? What do you typically have? Like, leave a comment on the video, send in some feedback for your mandatory browser plugins, because one of mine is Privacy Badger. The other one is NoScript. Oh yeah, NoScript is excellent. Yeah. How about you? Ad blockers too. I add. Yeah. There's a couple really good ones of those. And something kind of funny. I always have an emoji extension. I knew that would make Vin laugh. What's an emoji? Emoji extension, so that you can find the perfect emoji to paste in websites or show notes. Yeah. I'm trying to take a look. What do I have? I have uBlock Origin. I have Auto Scroll installed on this browser, and Privacy Badger, and NoScript. That's it. Yeah. I have 3 of those installed as well. Pretty decent. Just have that installed. Like, even if you're just passively concerned about being tracked online. And, what this is stripping out is all the garbly nonsense, all the tracking information after a link when you copy and paste it. It's going to take care of that for you. I'm just going to say, good on them. Now, what was it yesterday? Hang on, I need to check something. Okay. Dude, because I don't want to get my jokes wrong. Oh. Yes. Okay. So yesterday was International Talk Like a Pirate Day. Yes, it was. Good timing, Ben. Why is that even relevant, Jill? Oh, because it's a certain name of a pie hat we're going to talk about called Sailor Hat, or as Ven likes to call it, the Yar Pie Hat. Yar. Hackaday. Apostrophes are important. Yes. Just saying. Pies, yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't notice that. So funny. So, but instead of P, it could be, at least it's not PISS, right? Right. Okay, so that makes me laugh. Okay, so this is actually the Sailor Hat for the Raspberry Pi, which provides clean power for the Pi and will
eliminate corrupting the SSD during those, pesky brownouts and power shutdowns. And some of the awesome features are with 12 volt or 24 volt power, which is commonly used in boats and vehicles. This Pi Hat allows you to power down your Raspberry Pi safely. Because the Sailor Hat uses supercapacitors, it ensures that intermittent power outages are ignored and your server continues to hum along quite smoothly. And the Raspberry Pi will shut down safely because it is informed about power outages. And it has a real-time clock, which will keep your Pi synchronized. And it has a backup battery. So this is a great Raspberry Pi for Raspberry Pi projects and environments where stable and clean power is an issue, like on vehicles and boats. And it's to me, this is kind of like an awesome surge protector for your Raspberry Pi with a bit of a UPS thrown in. It's a little combination of both to, give you clean power.
I mean, let's just go ahead and cut right to it. Have you been looking for an excuse to have supercapacitors on your Pi like me?
I know. Look at those chunky things.
Like, come on. Those things have been in the future for the next 30 years or the past 30 years. This thing's got you covered, man. I mean, it is a Pi Hat. And, if you live in a place where Jill doesn't have to worry about it. But if you live in a place with a bunch of fires, earthquakes, or brownouts.
It happens, yes.
Something like this would be important. Now, the UPS, you shouldn't really think of it as UPS. Like this is going to buy you enough time. We're talking about the lighthouse.
A couple seconds.
Right?
Yeah.
What's going on here? It'll keep you going through that. And really important thing, it's going to be able to handle power-hungry devices. So if you get displays plugged into this thing, SSDs plugged into your Pi, it's still got you. It's still got you for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And you can build your own. I want to talk about this. Completely open source. You can get the part list, do everything yourself, or it's $60 if you want to buy one pre-made.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Great deal. Yeah.
Like, is there any price to put on, supercapacitors for your Raspberry Pi?
Yeah. And now that the prices of Raspberry Pis are coming back down to...
coming out of the stratosphere.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Stock still needs to get better, though.
Yeah.
Still needs, and we need a Raspberry Pi 5.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And it needs to be able to dance. I don't know. I'm wishing for stuff right now, but why not?
Yeah, we need that 16 gigabyte of RAM Pi.
That's, yeah. You know what? One of the things I was trying to do, because I have that Pi 02W, which I thought it's going to be able to, it's only a 512 megs of RAM, though. So I'm right in a weird situation, because I use a BitFocus Companion to run the Stream Deck, and I was running that on the Pi 4, and I'm like, oh, you got to go, little buddy. I got to put a Jitsi server on you.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, what can I move that to? So I went to my Pi box from Adafruit, because I got like a big box, and I'm like digging around with all the stuff that I should have made videos with stuff with. I'm like, oh yeah, I got this. And I try to get it up and running. And it's got a quad core in it, but it's only got that 512 megs of RAM. I ran into a situation to where it would start to load. It would get to the prompt, but while it was loading BitFocus Companion, it would run out of RAM, and it only had 100 megs of swap. So then it would run out of swap and freeze up. So I was in this situation where I was trying to SSH into it before it finished loading so I could kill the companion process. So then I could unmount the swap file and increase it. And I probably spent, because I was doing this over Wi-Fi too, just to keep things interesting, man, because I didn't want to drag out one of those little funky adapters to plug it into a capture card with a keyboard and all that. So I finally beat it. It became a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely, Ben.
And I did
that Orange Pi W we had talked about last week would be, a major upgrade to that, so you wouldn't have the memory issues.
The memory would be nice. I ended up just putting BitFocus Companion on the on Jackbox.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, I got it. Just plugged it right in. I installed it last night. I set a startup script, and it just runs because, the Stream Deck's not on if Jackbox isn't on, right?
No, yeah.
Yeah. So it ended up working. out.
Awesome.
Before we get out of here, hey, if you like the show, and you're like, hey, want to help you out a little bit, head over to Linux Gamecast. We got a support button. We got Patreons, all of our beautiful patrons making this show possible. I want to thank each and every one of you. In fact, I will when I roll the credits. Yes.
Credits.
All them credits. We're going to put those in your face. We have Patreon. We got LibrePay. We got PayPal. A couple of other ways to donate. We got wish lists. It's been a while since I've looked at Jill's Amazon wish list. It's
I like those penguins.
All the way down. Nope. Combo breaker. That's not a penguin.
No, that's a keyboard display like the one I have behind me.
I got one for the studio. If you want to end up on this blinky wall of nonsense behind me, you're welcome to. But we do appreciate your support. If you do back us on Patreon, you get the live and uncut versions of this. You might notice that we have those on our uncut YouTube channel. They come out a week later, but if you want it in podcast format and you want it like this afternoon, it'll be there so you can check out the live show on your schedule instead of being, you can't make the live show, that's fine. We do the pre super shows, an extra hour of content for LGC. Early access, usually about a week early. Take a look at some of the video stuff I'm working on, behind the scenes things. And hop in our Discord. You get Discord access. Also, if you're a Twitch sub, and come hang out with us on Tuesdays and Fridays.
Yeah, we do so much fun.
Trackmania, which is silly because you look at either one of us and you're like, neither of you look like race car driving enthusiasts because we're not.
No.
And you're not either. It's a weird mental game you got to play to get over. You're like, no, I'm not big into racing games. We don't. Yeah. And when we say we play Trackmania Stadium too, like that sounds an awful lot like a racing game. Like
3D puzzle platformer.
Yes. It's maximum silliness, physics problems, and contagious laughter and good times. So if you're looking for a group of people to get together, we have an awesome group of people on Tuesdays and Fridays. And we got a Trackmania server that's up 24/7. Even if you're just like, man, I just want to jump in there and show you people how it's done.
Yeah,
your scores
please
will
do.
be recorded. Yeah, we can take out. And well, if you want to come by Friday, we'll be doing that at 7:30. Yeah. We vote on maps. We're trying a new thing this week, putting in 14 maps, and we have a voting system built into the interface now. So the top 7 maps that people like the most are the ones that are going to be played on Friday. We do a cup match, so it's not about who's the fastest. It's who can get through the map the most. That should tell you a little bit more about how the game's played. And it's not like hateful challenging. So yeah, go check it out. It's a cheap game too. It's like $9. And it runs on anything, including integrated graphics on a laptop. So you got
sure does.
And how many buttons do you need, Jill, to play it? Don't you need like 16 buttons and a flight controller?
No, like 3.
2.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you got to sometimes I like to hit the Y or the X for
for resetting?
Yeah, resetting, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. For regular playing, outside of that, there's a stop and a go button. The insanity you can
it's easy.
Get through this.
Forward, reverse, and then you have of course, your joystick.
And none of us are any good at it, so you're in good company. Good company.
Heck, I don't even drive for real, so it took me a while before I became halfway decent at Trackmania.
So that's going to do it for this week's weekly. Daily Wednesdays. Let's see if we can bring up.
Yay! Got lots of awesome
credits.
Lots of awesome patrons to thank.
And 1.
I hear the music. There's the music. And there's the wonderful Vin Stone. Yes. And I'm Jill Bryant. I haven't done that in a while, Vin. And our advisors, Omegas and Artherin. Our executive producers, Barbara Scott M, Atomic, Mike, Drummer, Chicago People, Super Dust Out, Empty, Blasmia, Sea Monsters, Truggy, Veritanuda, Justin, Frostclaw, Hakeem, our Death Notes, Benjamin, Steven,
Nova.
Back.
We got Jason, Biatko. I saw Biatko earlier. Sacred Egg.
Oh, yeah, he's in. Yeah.
Episode 393, not 939. But if you read it backwards, it's still 393.
Yes. We got Mir in there. Lots of our wonderful peeps.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Where is my button? Oh. All right.
That worked beautiful then.
No
That was
explosion.
one of the crispest I ever had my return video. It's so nice.
We'll see how it holds up.
Yeah.
Taste pennies? How do you know what a penny tastes like? What, do you suck on pennies?
Or smell burnt toast. Oh, illegally blind. That can mean a lot of things in the medical world, but one is a stroke.
That's the joke.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always nerve-wracking. Occasionally I've had when you have an outlet that burns a little bit.
No,
And-
I don't.
We have an old house, so we have to keep track.
65 years old?
Yeah. So we have to, we've had our electrical.
You haven't replaced the outlets? Steve,
Oh, yeah, no, we have, but
you just
even
got
the
bad
new
wiring?
ones.
You didn't pull the wiring out?
Some of the wiring in our house is still original, but it was in really good shape. So we didn't have to replace all of it, but we eventually will.
I didn't have ground plugs on a lot of outlets.
Oh, okay.
Ah. Grounding wasn't a thing here for a while, apparently.
Yeah, our house didn't either, but my brother put some in.
No,
In fact, in the computer room, I'm grounded in here.
I don't suck on pennies. Pennies aren't even made of copper anymore, man. They're zinc. So I'm sure they taste different. Like, if you're thinking about what a penny tastes like from when you were a kid, I'm sure they have a wholly different palate, flavor. So if it's been a while, pop a penny in your mouth.
Oh boy, yeah. Yeah, Vince. So I had to call an electrician because I was getting the smell from 2 outlets, and those were new ones. I'm like, what the heck? And they just replaced them, and they're fine. And he goes, oh, the new stuff isn't as good as the old stuff, because our old outlets, we still have a few like behind furniture that we couldn't get to, and they've never smelled. Oh my God. The old stuff is just fine, but 90% of our outlets have been fixed.
Yeah, I swapped most of mine out. They weren't cheap either. They're still not even cheap. They're a lot less now so they all have USB chargers on them.
Oh, yeah. That's what I've been doing
That's
too.
just like
Yeah.
super. But yeah, I've replaced breakers, wires, especially in this room. This room's on 2 separate breakers because of the power draw in it. It gets toasty in here.
Yes.
As we've, it gets hot enough to disable my DSLR.
Yeah.
Just with PC heat, also monitor heat. It's a fun time. A lot of juice. Good on your Raspberry Pi. You did it good. You didn't explode. How do we find out what our thermals are on a Raspberry Pi? Let's investigate. All right, that's not too bad. Hang on, do I have a me shot? We're at 48.2C.
Oh, that's reasonable. So,
That's not too bad.
yeah. Actually, that's really good.
Now let's see what frequency, because this is not overclocked. Okay, fair enough. I'm making sure I'm not. The reason I'm not doing this on the screen for you guys is because I got IP addresses all up in my bash history right now. There we go. Yeah, it's running full. It is running full tilt though.
Okay.
No, it's running at 1.8. But
it's staying cool.
yeah, it is in that crazy case though.
Yeah, it is that was a cool case. I'm glad you got it.
That case could be made so much better too. So much better. If I wanted to do some helio arc, a little bit of a welding of the aluminiums, I could probably drop that another 10-15 degrees instantly, because it is the way it's designed. Like, I get what they were going for, but I don't know. I guess it was easier for them to just print an empty, because it should have a heatsink that goes directly from the top with the fan blowing, it should have some fins on it, and it doesn't. So the heat just gets absorbed into the top of the case, but nothing to like remove the heat from the top of the case. Because it's just flat and smooth. So it just sits there. And I mean, it radiates heat, but you could get so much more heat off of it if it had some fins on it.
Yeah, I remember you were saying that, and we had talked about it on the show when you showed the case. Yeah.
What is the, do I remember the name of it?
I'm forgetting the name. Arc? Is it the
It's
Arc?
the Argon.
Argon, I know. Arc.
Arc. Close enough.
Yeah.
It is this one. Are you going to go to a browser? No, you're not feeling it? This guy.
Yes.
I got the bonus extension on the bottom with the see, that's what I'm talking about. It's all flat. All the heat gets sucked into the top of this case, and that's the only these two little vent holes are the only places, and those suck air in, not blow air out. So like it should have some fins on it. There would be so many. This is the case only. How much
like air coming from the bottom and have the feet raised so the air can come up.
Okay. $90 for an 8 gig, which that's high, but that's better than 200.
It's under 100.
67 for how many is this? 4 gig? 62. Yeah, no wonder it's best. So we're getting back to normality. Do they have the Turbo YOLO edition? Plus, it's got a power button on it, which I was really happy. Yeah,
nice.
I got this thing. Mine has the M.2 thing in the bottom of it. That's the reason I bought it. This is that dumb one they made.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Put some hard drives in it, some spinny drives. I don't hate the way that looks, but that you would have to have a spot for it. You know, you just couldn't pop that in a rack anywhere unless you get out the
It's a triangle.
or something.
It belongs in a corner.
Oh, man. There we go. Yeah, I posted in our Discord yesterday. Apple has filed for a patent for a propulsion system for their cars. In our lifetime, Apple will be making a car. How weird is that? You get an Apple car? An iCar?
Well, it'll be overly priced, but it should be stable and run well. It's gonna be like maybe a third higher price or half price higher. I remember reading about it, but I didn't know any progress had been made on it.
They've been working on it for years. I mean, I'm working on it. Allegedly working on it.
Allegedly, yeah.
You never know with that. I don't know. I want to see. I want to see what Apple thinks the car should be. Just out of curiosity. The ultimate. Oh, and as they call it, car 1. Do we do like car 13, like they do with the iPhones?
It's got to be space gray or.
See, Steve. There we go. Parallel thoughts, Steve. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. You got to get rid of it every year and get a new one. People make fun of you if you're driving last year's car.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you still have car 14? And be what? I don't know.
Space gray or rose gold. I'm sure we'll have a rose gold Apple car.
Oh, that's going to be the expensive one.
Yeah.
Upgrade charge plug on the bottom? Yeah, right.
Yeah, and it's going to be proprietary, so it won't work with the rest of the stations to charge.
It only works on 40% of the roads.
Yeah. I'm amazed they finally got a USB-C. That's the biggest deal from the new iPhone. Finally, how long did that take them?
Oh, we got some new NVIDIA drivers.
Oh, good.
Let's see what we got. Because we all know me, I'm just a big old NVIDIA shield. Why is my browser working on this one? I'll figure it out. And there it is. Let's see. New library. NVIDIA GPU comp. This is a token last initial dependency. All right. Okay.
Aren't there? And that's funny.
That's exactly what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
They're just going to have a little ramp where you flip it upside down. That'd be awesome. What was I?
Well, the good thing about Apple coming in that maybe they'll, I'm sure they'll do a lot of research and help development on peopleless, people not driving cars, autonomous. Yeah. I couldn't think of the word autonomous.
So we did get that. I posted this in Discord earlier on the NVIDIA thing. We got a great comment on, I was talking about GameScope, right? Remember that GameScope video I made?
Oh, yeah.
Here's how you do GameScope on NVIDIA. Oh, man. But you know what? Turns out what I could just be smart enough to use AMD with Linux like I have a brain and know how to use it. Stupid NVIDIA shills, at least Linux makes them suffer.
My.
The funny thing about this was automatically put into the held for review.
Oh, good. Okay.
So if you're wondering where do your derpy comments go, YouTube already takes care of them.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's where all the derp comments end up. Which is always cute. So I think once or twice I've had somebody who's like, you're censoring comments. And I'm like, no, I'm not.
Yeah. Google does that for me.
I was like, you just got to dial your derp back a little bit. And maybe it won't be a problem. Mm-hmm. But you do have to check those because sometimes you'll get like faults.
Yeah.
Like that one was labeled potentially inappropriate. Like, I don't think that's inappropriate. I'm going to approve that one. And then
see all the comments under it. Yeah.
Oh man, I had somebody argue with me. The silliest argument I've had this week so far. This guy, this is the Moto M2. Actually, this is the Moto M4. I did a video on it, right? Audio interface. And it's got that screen on it that you can't cut off.
Oh, yeah. That was annoying you, yeah.
I cut out the lights and I'm like, see, you don't need a night light. When this thing's on, it'll light the entire room up.
Yeah.
And it's just blinky bars that jump up and down. There's no like numbering system on it whatsoever. So it's a gimmick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it works because people are like, oh, blinky lights, right. It doesn't do anything. It just shows you kind of what your level is. So I get a comment. These comments are under the Moto M2. And he's like, so I'm worried about burn-in on the OLED screen. And I'm like, fair. I'm like, all right. But it's like, homie, that's not OLED. That's LCD. Yeah. He's like, no, it's OLED. I can tell. I've looked at several videos, and it's OLED and blah, 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 blah. Like, why don't you go to Moto's website and why don't you read the manual? Moto says it's LCD. Like, no. You see, I found this post on a forum that says it's OLED.
Yeah. like
so you want to take this up with the manufacturer? You might want to email them and let them know that you discovered something about their interface. And he gives me a link to like at the 8-minute mark in the video. He's like, see, you can see right here. You can see the burn-in on your screen. I'm like, dude. He's like, yeah, it's a couple of years old. So I think I helped him out and explained him like, no, that's what an LCD looks like with a backlight because you need a backlight for an LCD. I'm like, an OLED, as soon as you cut it on, new out of the box. So I linked him to a review video from Sweetwater from 2019 when they were right before they got released. with that, like, that's just how it looks when you cut it on. That's not burn in. So hopefully I helped them out. They haven't written back. But for all I know, it's like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's clearly an OLED screen.
They wouldn't go through that expense.
No, it's a budget interface.
Yeah.
So, and you know what an OLED screen looks like the second you cut it on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, versus an LCD with a backlight on it. OLEDs don't have backlights. Organically light emitting diodes.
Yeah, I have an OLED, smallish OLED monitor over here, and it's so bright that I have to turn it down to like 20% because it's too bright. It works great. But it's so bright. Oh.
Let me check here. Do we have... Okay, so browser only works... I guess I need to just change that. Yes. Yeah, I'll figure that out. That's not really an issue. I'm just making sure a lot of stuff, because I moved the BitFocus companion over to Jackbox. I'm making sure everything's working right. While I get everything cut on. The yips. Derp, derp.
Yeah, I love them. They're some of my favorite characters from Sesame Street. Yip, 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 yip.
You feel an affinity towards them?
Yeah.
They're my spirit animal.
Yes, actually, I love them. And I love the little worms from Sesame Street. They're some of my favorite characters, too. Little worms that talk.
I don't know if I know the worms.
Oh. They were often used in learning words videos. They pull out the worms in the little forest.
Yeah,
so cute.
I didn't have Sesame Street growing up, so my knowledge of Sesame Street is like internet memes. Those guys I know.
Derp a derp. Yip yip yip.
Are these
worms? Yeah.
All right.
They're so cute. See all the different colored ones. I love that episode where they're in this stadium. I forgot about that. I haven't seen that in years. Aw. Yes, Mir. So cute.
All right. I guess, is Sesame Street still on?
Yeah, it sure is. I actually watched it the other day.
Dark and edgy now?
No, it's still pretty light and happy for kids.
All right.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, it hasn't changed much. Yeah, Fraggle Rock was awesome.
People go crazy about the Fraggle Rock. I remember, like, that was like one of the things even back in the day. Like, I remember checking that out. I'm like, that is not my thing.
Yeah.
I think, like, all right, have fun with it. It didn't hook me.
Well, one of the beautiful things about it is that it was, they actually had it translated in many languages. And in fact, the intro with the main guys, I'm trying to remember what his name was, and his dog, they actually made separate versions of that for German, for English, for Swedish. It was really amazing. Yeah, he was the Tinkerer guy. What was his name, Stephen? I forgot his name. And he had the dog, and the dog finds the Fraggles, and Russian, yeah.
I remember watching the Smurfs when I was little.
Yeah.
I always felt bad for Gargamel.
La 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 la.
Gargamel just minding his business. He had these rodents in his garden.
Yeah.
Big Bird in Brazil. That looks like some Brazilian Big Bird.
Yeah, it does.
He's seen some stuff. All right. Anything else going on? I don't think so. Big Bird and Blue Sky? Yeah, right. Okay.
Aw. Yeah, I knew the Mexican one was green because I used to see the show when I was in Mexico.
Looks more like a Macau.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everything's fine. Oh, that was something. That was a little panic attack I had yesterday when we got done playing Track Medium. I was going to test this out with Jill last night when we had everybody together. I had messed up because I'd moved the BitFocus companion to a Raspberry Pi Zero W2, and I'd given it the same IP address.
Yeah.
Out of habit, because .6 was the IP address of the Raspberry Pi 4, and I'm like, yeah. So I couldn't get that to log in. I'm like, hey, Jill, try this out. I was like, oh, like, I will mess with it later.
Yeah.
It won't be a problem. And I went back. Because, when you're streaming, you can't do that. And I pull up the interface, and I'm like, oh, derp. Okay, so I changed the IP address. But before I got there, I'm like, man, all right, let me log into the Pi 4. I'm like, why isn't this coming up? And I get something that terrified me. It's like, your SSH key signature has changed. Something horrible has gone. I'm like, oh no, because I was trying to SSH with my credentials for the Pi into the Pi Zero. Like, I was like, this thing has only been on for like 5 minutes and it's already been hacksorted. Come on. Come on, really? I'm not that bad. Like, I set up firewall rules, but it wasn't that. It's just because they had the same IP address. Oh, man. Yeah, the only thing about that I'm not looking forward to is trying to explain people how to forward ports on their router. Does everybody know how to do that?
Oh yeah, I've done it. It's. I think most of our audience knows how to do that.
I don't make assumptions like that, man.
Yeah.
No. Because everybody's got like their, areas of, I'm
Yeah.
There's a, let me get on my, what am I thinking there? That is incriminating. I had to check everything on there.
See, Artheron's on it. He knows. Yeah, he does it. He's doing it right now. And most of our audience excludes you. Yet this is true, Steve Husband.
I got everything ported appropriately, I think. That's all the ports that you need. Not too many.
I don't do it so much now, but I used to a long time ago.
But the thing is you're going to be behind. It's going to be different for everybody. Depending on what type of router you have, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I posted mine. Like, how do I do mine? Yeah, from the terminal. You can log into it and set up the rules. But I think most people are going to have like a web.
Yeah, I used the WYSIWYG GUI
something
thing.
like that.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I'm hesitant about, like doing the video. That's like so I've been turning around in my head. I'm like, how do I explain this to people of like, okay, what you need to do is this is your router, and what I need you to do is you need to go Google this. Don't ask me, because I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Yeah. And try to make that nice as possible. Minecraft server?
Nextcloud,
Nextcloud.
In fact, that was the last time I did port forwarding, was using Nextcloud.
Oh, I'll admit to this. When I was I re-imaged the Pi when I was setting up Jitsi, and I was setting up UFW, and I straight up forgot to add SSH access to it.
Oh.
Locked myself right out of it. Because I was SSH'd into it, and I'm like, So I had to go get the keyboard and mouse and plug the video in. Yeah, I got a Microtech device, so like SSH into it and use the terminal because it's just it's running Linux. I mean,
yeah.
The SSH is not as bad as shutting down the wrong machine or shutting down the machine you're on.
Why are you trying to SSH?
I've done that because I'll be in too many systems, and I'm like, okay, I'm done with that. Let me, or it's usually not shutting it down. It's rebooting something because I'm working on something, and my brain's in a million different places, and I open the wrong terminal up, or I'm in the wrong terminal, and I do sudo. At least once a year, this will happen. I'll completely just fess up to that and shut just the box. I'm like, oh, jeez. Welp. Accidentally, yeah.
Oh, one time. Yeah.
Let me just tell you, you can get so much more done when you're working with a machine that you're in the physical location of, because you don't have fears like that. Mm-hmm. You know, you're not worried about, like, is it going to come back up? And if it doesn't come back up, you just walk over to it, like, why aren't you coming back up? And you get your hands on, like, your hips like that, and like, give it a stern look. When you're doing it remote, and you're like, oh man, if this doesn't come back up, I'm going to have to go for a drive. Or you're going to have to do a support ticket, depending on, like, whatever type of situation you're in. It's not like, you know, one of those things like, I could fix this myself if I just had access to it. That's good. That's good. Bright blue LEDs.
That's nice. Yeah, I have a mission. You know, it's funny because I've noticed that most of my new cases do have bright blue OLEDs for the power buttnos and
oh, they've
whatnot.
been blue forever, man. That's snuck up on people.
They have,
you
but
blink.
it just kind of. I just recently kind of noticed that they've all been blue.
I had that. I'm talking about that years ago. Like you don't pay attention to it, and one day they used to all be green.
Yeah, green or even red. I have green and red ones.
I remember doing a blue LED mod for a computer case back in the day because I was like, ooh.
Oh yeah, you didn't have blue wasn't common.
Right. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. And
that must have been the more expensive LED, I guess.
They were just, blue LEDs are a recent invention.
Yeah.
I mean, relatively, right?
Yeah.
Now everything's got blue. I'm just like, look around. All your monitor LEDs are going to be blue. Yeah. I have all the Microtik. Microtik is famous for their blue LEDs because you can light up a house with them. Like there's the most common thing people do with Microtik gear, especially rack gear, is whiteout. They put whiteout over the blue LEDs, and it doesn't get rid of it. It's that powerful. Whiteout doesn't cover it up, but it makes it to where it doesn't hurt your eyes.
Yeah. Can confirm with the Microtik.
They're vicious, man. Like, you don't want to look directly into them.
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed also blue LEDs popping up on monitors, too, because they used to always be almost always red, like if it's flashing in standby mode. Now it's blue.
Yeah, that like orangish, reddish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just blue all the way down now. That's, all right. Things have changed, right?
Yeah. Definitely.
And it just happened overnight. It happened when you weren't paying attention. You know?
I know.
Huh.
Yeah, all of a sudden they just started using,
Like, and it's been a while. Like, even the LEDs for these 3010s, which are like 13 years old, blue. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, sure, I guess. Like, I'm not going to lose sleep over it, but all right. Let's get a new color. Let's go with, like, teal.
Yeah, I love teal. Teal is one of my favorite colors.
That's a lighter color, right?
Yeah.
All right.
It's a cross between a blue and a green.
I only accept that there's two colors. There's dark and light. So if it's a dark color or a light color. All right. I'm going to go make a podcast, make some videos, get everything posted up. Teal is nice.
Yeah, beastie. I've got a new teal computer case that I'm going to build a new rig in. Teal is another. You'll see. I love one of my favorite keyboards is on the desk back there. It's a Miami keyboard, and it's pink and teal, and I love that color. Love that combination.
That's teal for the rest of us. 008080.
That's funny, beastie.
No. It is important that you do not confuse teal with teal.
With teal. Yes.
I
had a feeling you might do something like that. Because we were just talking about him yesterday. He's such a great character.
All right. Cool, everybody. I got to go do the work stuff.
Okay.
So have a great
Bye, everyone.
rest of your Wednesday. Jordan should be back tomorrow. Him and Empty are making progress, playing the Baldur's Gate. It's not really a game that you play to win. It's more that you play to experience it. And they are having experiences. So it's going to be at 7:30 p.m. Get your notifications on Twitch. Tune in live. I tend to hop into the chat myself when they're up to stuff and cheer them on, as I'm to do. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Arthurian. Bye, Biatko. Bye, Beastie. Bye, Mir. Bye, Steve Husband.